Welcome back to another episode of the Tradepreneur Show. I'm your host, Patrick Summers. My co-host, Mike Costa.
Hello, buddy. How are you?
Fantastic. You?
I'm a slob. Like if you were to go out to my SUV right now, you go, you poor man.
Hey, you know,
But I'm not repping you. But when I heard that this was going to be one of the topics for today's episode, I was like, what am I going to learn new that I'm going to go write out and put into effect?
well, you know, sometimes I'll interview people and we'll get to talking, you know, are you organized, this, that, the other thing. Oh, yeah. And then I'll say, well, let's go look at your car.
Oh, my God.
You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you can tell by their response if it's going to be a good experience or bad. You know, when I was a technician,
Yeah.
I got a raise after, I think I was only working here maybe 6 weeks. And the owner came out, Frank Harrison, and I'll never forget, I was parked there in the morning and I was loading up my parts and stuff I need for the day. And he came out and he looked in my van and he's like, Patrick, that's one of the most cleanest, most organized vans I've ever seen. I'm giving you a raise. And he gave me a pretty decent raise. He says, usually you have to be here a year to get to that number, but he says, I'm moving you there now. And I was like, wow. And so to me, it was like, it wasn't anything special because I'm just like, hey, this is somebody giving me a vehicle so I can make a living and make a living for this individual. I'm going to take care of this vehicle. Not only that, if my truck's a mess, I'm not going to be as efficient. So my truck literally, I put carpeting in it, right? So I went out and got the indoor-outdoor carpet from Home Depot, put it in real nice. My ladders, so you have 2 ladders. We usually have an extension ladder and an 8-foot ladder on top. My 6-foot ladder, usually guys throw it in there. I hung these deals on the rack, so I could have hung the ladder there. Sure, if I needed a motor, I had to take the ladder down, get a motor, and I hang the ladder back up. It wasn't a big deal. But on the weekends, I would turn a bucket upside down, sit on the bucket, and clean my truck. Because during the week, sometimes you get rocking and rolling, especially in the summer.
Right.
And I would just fine tune it. But to me, I operated my truck as a business unit, right? I needed to know because my whole idea was to go into business for myself. So I wanted to know what I could produce out of a truck. And I would actually track my fuel costs, what I generated in revenue, you know, and I try and create my own mini P&L for me. And one of the things I knew, and I think I get this from my father and my grandfather, is clean and organized translates to more revenue. And people may be, well, how? Well, because I can find things. I know what's on my truck.
Yeah. Time is money.
Time is money. And the more efficient I am, the more I can do a visual inventory to make sure I have everything I need and to get what I don't have. Super efficient. And the more efficient I can be on a call, the better. I can't tell you the times over the years somebody calls for a certain part and we run it out to them. And then they end up finding it on their truck.
Oh my God!
Right?
That would drive me nuts.
Oh, it's incredibly frustrating. But it's not just the interior of the truck, the exterior of the truck. So when you pull up to an intersection, typically in the desert, you're going to see air conditioning trucks at each corner of the light, or you're going to see pool cleaning trucks, right?
Right.
But I will look at their dashboard. I want to see what their dashboard looks like. In fact, I drove a tractor trailer. I ran teams. And especially California, when you'd come into California, you'd see the trucks that get pulled over at the scales for further inspection. There was something similar to almost every truck that got pulled over. And that was the truck was crappy looking, beat to hell. But regardless of what the exterior of the truck looked like, the one thing that was almost guaranteed was the dashboard was covered. It looked like a closet, right? It looked like it was horrible.
Food wrappers, receipts,
Yeah, books,
old French fries.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's horrible, and so you see the same thing in trucks. And in fact, when we go into gated communities, we have to get a pass to go into that community. You keep on your dash. It always amazes me that somebody goes in, they're done in that community, the pass is no longer valid, and they keep it on their dash. In fact, we had a service manager one time, Matt. He called them FUPs, and that stands for FU Patrick, because he says if you put one of these on your dashboard, that's essentially what you're saying to Patrick.
Oh, what a great thought.
Yeah, but I'm like, guys, why would you do that? It looks like crap. Not only that, here's the safety side of it. The more you have in the cab of your truck that's not secure, the more likelihood you have of getting a serious injury if you're in a collision, a rollover.
You got to slam on the brakes.
Yep.
Something's flying from the back to the front.
Yep. And you don't even have to have something major. I mean, there's loose stuff in the truck, a part, a tool, something like that. But I truly believe, because I've seen it and I lived it, the cleanliness of your truck is going to be directly tied to the revenue that you generate and the money that you make.
So it seems like it's such a no-brainer that it wouldn't even be a question or something that you would have to check on with not your employees here, but just in general.
Yeah.
General type of thing, you know?
One of the things I would do too is I always carried a can of the tire shine. And there's ones that you have to wipe down, and there's other ones that you
spray
don't.
on and go away. Yeah.
And so every morning, I would either before I left the house, or if I stopped to fuel up before pulling in, I would spray the tires. And so Frank Harrison, he used to go out in the morning and walk the trucks and inspect the trucks. And then he'd come up and he'd read off the numbers of the trucks that looked like crap, and he'd read off the number of the trucks that looked fantastic. And he would always read my truck number. He's like, Patrick, that truck looks so. And I'm like, and all I did was shine the tires, right? I didn't wash it that morning, but just shine the tires. But the tires stand out.
Yes.
And so here, if you as a business owner, you as a coworker are noticing that, who else is noticing it? Your customer.
Well, sure.
Right? And that goes to your personal appearance. You're going to have more credibility when you're dialed in with your personal appearance. You're going to have more credibility when they look outside and they see a sharp-looking truck.
Well, it's your rolling business card, right?
Yeah.
It's your rolling billboard.
It's your brand.
It's your brand.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. And knowing what's on your truck, keeping that truck neat and organized, tells me a lot about the individual. Their pride, their level of pride, their level of commitment, and those are the guys that are going to get new trucks when new trucks come out.
Do you, as far as, is the truck also a person's personal vehicle? Like, are you as the owner of a company taking care of maintenance and oil changes and things like that?
Yeah. So that vehicle, we take care. We pay everything. It's the company's vehicle, but they get in most cases, take it home.
Okay.
And so they get to commute back and forth to work, because sometimes we might route them from their house directly to a call.
Okay.
Or we'll try and get them a call close to their house towards the end of the day.
Okay.
But basically, they come into the office every morning, and because we start with a meeting and things like that. But that's their commute vehicle. That they don't have to buy that gas to commute. It's the company buys it. So to me, it's a real show of an individual, and those are the things that play into, do they deserve more opportunity? Can they manage? Can they lead? Those are the things I'm looking at, because it goes back to me leadership before we leadership.
Okay.
If you can't lead yourself, and show up the way you need to show up, how are you going to manage anybody?
Right.
How are you going to lead anybody? Because they're going to follow the leader.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's more to just making revenue and maximizing opportunity for you in your career. It's standing out to your coworkers, standing out to your employer, and standing out to your customers. Or let's sum it up, standing out to opportunity.
Yeah.
Right?
There's so many times, and I want to ask you about, go back to what you did to your van to kind of like, or truck to kind of like customize it. But there have been times where somebody pulls up in our driveway that I've asked to come out and do something. And I told you we just had a plumber recently at our house to come out and fix something. And I always make it a point to look in the back of their truck. And this guy, you would have been proud, because he had cubbies, and in each little cubby was like a Tupperware bin type of thing, and they were all professionally labeled, and he had, his pipes were bound together, and I'm not saying you could have eaten on the bed inside of his truck, but at the same time I'm thinking, okay, this guy knows exactly where to go when he needs something. And it's I would assume that's what you did too, when you more or less customize your truck. Do your employees get that carte blanche to kind of do that, or do you have a set way you want those trucks?
I didn't customize where things were stored.
Okay.
Right? So there's a layout. Motors go here, capacitors go here. I'm talking just an HVAC truck, right?
Yeah.
But they're pretty much laid out the same. But as far as, you want to hang a ladder rack, by all means, hang a ladder rack, right? Because all you're doing is you're putting some sheet metal screws through it. You're not really destroying anything, right? Don't go put 20-inch rims on the truck, things like that.
Don't lower it.
Yeah, Patrick Summers here, General Air Conditioning and Plumbing. I want to talk to you about our Service Plus program. Right now, for $189, you can get your heating tune-up done, a plumbing inspection, and an electrical inspection to make sure your major systems and components of your home are not only operating efficiently, but most importantly, safely. Let's get you comfortable. Let's make sure you're safe. Let's get your systems tuned up, dialed in, and ready for a new year. But it's make that truck work for you, right? I've seen guys that we carry these 5-inch filters, and they're hard to carry because filters take up a lot of space, and they'll like create this like net, this bungee cord net across the ceiling, and they'll be up there. I mean, that's awesome. That's fantastic. And usually, if somebody would come to me and say, "Hey, I want to do this, I want to do that," then it's typically I'm okay with it. If it creates efficiency, I'll give you an example. We got one of our senior installers. Guy's fantastic. He's just a work machine and just doesn't want to mess around. Just wants to do his job, and really knowledgeable guy. And so we got him a new install truck, and I got this real fancy interior, stainless steel, and then I got a diamond plate floor for him.
Oh, nice.
I mean, really sharp. He ended up going and covering the diamond plate with sheet metal, because I was thinking like, hey, this is cool, man. This looks sharp. Right. And he's like, but Patrick, I can't. When I load the boxes of the equipment, like the furnace and I can't push it. It grips.
I hear you.
I was like, oh, you know what? I was so excited that it was going to look so cool. I didn't even think of that, but I'm like, yeah, by all means, you have to cover it because it's not practical.
Sure.
But I'm like, hey, we'll have a beautiful floor.
Your heart was in a good place.
Yeah. So yeah, it's take care of the truck.
Yeah.
Take care, because here's the thing. Again, a few episodes back, I talked about showing up every day like I own the business.
Right.
And now I do. With my business partner Francisco. And maybe you want to own your own business one day, maybe you don't. But man, somebody is trusting you with a truck. We just bought a truck. I just bought one yesterday, a plumbing truck, $70,000. Right? It's going to cost me, not me, but the business, about $6,000, $5,000, something like that, to wrap it.
Okay.
All right. Then we're going to stock it. Right. The inventory. Probably going to look at a retail value of that inventory, about $15,000, right? Then you got to insure it, and you got to maintain it, and somebody's giving you that truck to go say, hey, go out and be successful.
Yeah.
Let's win together. here's your truck. Like, you better take care of that truck like you should take care of that truck. Because what an individual is saying, especially if they give you a newer truck, is I trust you. I want you to win, and here is a tool to go out and do it. Because if you win, I win. So let's win together. And so when you go out there and you bash that truck, you don't take care of it, you don't clean it, you keep FUPs on the dash, that's communicating back that I don't really care, right? That shows your overall attitude towards things. So treat it like it's your own. And in some cases, don't treat it like it's your own, because sometimes people treat their stuff horrible. Right?
That's true. That's true. Did you have like a did you have like a checklist, or did you go through the same routine? Like, what would be some tips for somebody in taking care of their truck? Did you do? You talked about do the tires before you leave or when you're filling up.
Yeah, well, I wasn't one of these guys that did like check the oil every day and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, right.
I would check the oil probably once a week.
Okay.
Every couple fill ups I'd check the oil, and a tire pressure, same thing. The tires were a big deal, especially out here in the temperature changes.
Oh yeah.
So maintaining that and just visually looking at the tires, and then. The other thing is, every now and then, turn the radio down and roll down your window, and make sure the truck's not making funny noises, all right? And then I would clean it. Like I would wash it on the weekend. The biggest thing was just the common sense stuff I would do, and I checked the work truck more than I checked my own personal vehicle. Simply because it wasn't my vehicle, and I was being trusted with this vehicle. So the last thing I wanted was to cause an issue with the vehicle. And then the interior, I always kept the interior clean, right? It's amazing, Armor All or similar product, what it can make something look like, right? So I always kept it clean. And again, the back was just inventory. I had an inventory sheet, and I made sure the inventory was where it should be. Sometimes there was things that I thought I should have more of, so I'd try and make a case for that.
Okay.
And sometimes I'd win, right? So like, for instance, if we have these, what we call safety switches that we put on evaporator coils so the condensate backs up. Well, if I'm installing a lot of them, and they're having to run them to me, or they're having to get me to get one from another guy in the area.
Yeah.
It's easy to make the case like, hey, I know we're stocked with 4 of these, but could I take my stock to 8? And if I can say, because look at what I'm doing.
Right, proof.
Then it typically wouldn't be an issue. If I just wanted more because it gave me comfort to know that I wouldn't run out, no. But I kept track of those things, I kept track of my numbers. I kept track of what I was doing. So the inventory is, if you keep a clean truck, right, you can do a visual inventory pretty easily.
I bet.
You know if there's an empty slot. You know if you're missing something. And it's really as simple as that. And it's take a little bit of time. I took my own time because, again, it's a truck that I'm using to go back and forth to work. The weekends, I'd usually take an hour or 2 and just go through that truck, clean it, make sure everything's dialed in. Because, again, when you're running during the week, especially in the summertime, sometimes you it would be organized trash, but there would be trash that I got to clean out that, I wouldn't have time to do during the week, or I was running late on a Friday or something. So it's just be neat and organized,
So I guess in a nutshell, take the time because it'll save you time, but that time will also make you money.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. And it's the little things that we do that make the big difference. And it's the little things that we do that communicate a lot about us. And so if you're getting the little things right, people notice. And again, perfect example was me getting a raise because the way I kept the truck.
It's amazing.
Like, I didn't do that to get noticed. I did it because that's my philosophy. That's how I would want somebody to treat a truck if I gave it to them.
Yeah.
And I just did what I do, and it got noticed. So I notice, and that's the thing, I notice a lot of things. Some of the things I'll do around here is there'll be like maybe something in the warehouse, like it doesn't belong there, trash, and I'll just let it go. And I'll wait and see.
Who moves it or
Yeah,
who
how
takes
long
the
it,
initiative?
how long it takes to get that done. And I watch down here our TVs. We have these computers behind them, and the cords just hang down and drape. So I've been watching them for quite a while because I'm waiting to see who. Because one day I'll notice that they're tucked up
Right.
and been corrected, and then that's when I'm going to be like, "Hey, who did that?" Yeah, and you know where I got this from? I worked at a hospital back in Pennsylvania, and I worked the evening shift. I was a traction tech in orthopedics, and they would have supervisors, shift supervisors, which was usually an RN, that managed kind of all the floors at in the evenings. And I walk onto the floor, it was 3 South, and there's just a little gum wrapper on the floor. And I picked it up. And I threw it away. And next thing I know, Sonia was her name. I remember she must have been 5 foot tall, short white hair. Just I learned a lot about leadership just from her. She comes over to me and she gives me a coupon for the cafeteria for a meal. She says, Patrick, I put that there, and you're the only one who stopped and picked it up
Everyone else
and threw
walks
it
by.
away. Yeah, I was
you.
like, huh, so you set me up.
So Sonia's the one who ultimately led to your clean truck and getting you a raise.
She was a big part of seeing what gets noticed and what goes unnoticed, or noticed and changed.
Yeah.
Right. And so Sonia Clark, I'll never forget her. It's it's amazing when you think back through your coming up in the world, whether it's a teacher, a coworker, a manager, family, whoever it is, the lessons you learn.
Look for the gum wrapper.
That is something I will never forget.
That's awesome.
I will never forget.
That is awesome.
So, well, with that said, another episode of the Trepreneur Show. I hope you now can at least look at yourself and say, I'm a slob or I'm a highly organized person. Whatever you see yourself as, either accept it or change it. And if we can do that, we can just keep getting better and better and better. Hope you like the show. Please, if you do, let us know. Leave a comment. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out anywhere you can find a podcast. And please help us continue to grow this thing. Welcome any feedback, any comments, any suggestions for future episodes.